August feels like the finish line for a lot of gardeners. It isn't. For 12 vegetables, this month is closer to a starting gun.
Some of these you can sow today and be eating within a month. Others develop better flavor and texture as the nights cool. How much of this list fits your yard comes down to one number: the frost-free days you have left.
There's a catch, though. One vegetable near the end of this list has almost no room a week too late, and a single frosty night can end the crop before it ever produces.
We'll get to that one. First, the rule that decides everything else.
Here's the calculation that matters more than your hardiness zone. Find your average first fall frost date, subtract the days to maturity on your seed packet,
then subtract another 10 to 14 days, since fall growth slows as daylight shortens even when temperatures stay mild. That final number is roughly your planting deadline.
An average first frost date is a planning estimate, not a guarantee. An individual year can bring frost earlier or later, and your hardiness zone only describes how cold your winters get. It doesn't hand you a first frost date, which is the number you actually need here. Frost-tolerant crops can often keep maturing right through a light frost, sometimes tasting better for it. Frost-tender crops don't get that grace. One cold night can end them, so they need a stricter deadline and real margin. 2 packets labeled broccoli can carry maturity dates weeks apart. Variety matters as much as the crop.
Number 12. Scallions. Scallions are one of the most forgiving crops here, which makes them a good place to start. Direct sow the seed about a 1/4 inch deep. Keep the surface consistently moist until green threads appear, and expect a usable harvest in roughly 6 to 10 weeks. Because you're harvesting the green tops young rather than waiting on a fully formed bulb, scallions reach the table faster than almost anything else in their family.
Scallions handle a light frost without much trouble, though a hard freeze eventually takes them down. If your first frost tends to arrive late, keep sowing small batches every couple of weeks into September for a rolling harvest instead of one big cutting.
Number 11. Arugula. Arugula rewards impatience. Most varieties reach harvestable size in 40 to 50 days, and you can start snipping baby leaves sooner than that. Direct sowing is generally the fastest and simplest method for an August crop, so scatter the seed right where it will grow and keep the bed evenly moist while seedlings establish. The real payoff of an August planting is flavor. Arugula sown into summer heat often turns sharp and unpleasantly hot. The same plant grown into cooler weather stays milder and more balanced. It tolerates a light frost reasonably well, but treat it as one of the more delicate greens here rather than the toughest. Plan to harvest before a hard freeze rather than counting on it to survive one. Number 10. Radishes. If you've never tried a fall crop, radishes are the easiest way to prove to yourself that it works. Many varieties mature in 25 to 35 days, so with roughly 30 to 40 suitable growing days left before frost, there's usually still time for a round or two, though the exact window shifts with variety and how fast your fall conditions cool off. The biggest mistake isn't timing, it's spacing. Crowded seedlings put their energy into leafy tops instead of a round root, so thin aggressively while plants are small, even though it feels wasteful. Radishes tolerate light frost well, though prolonged hard freezes can damage the roots, and cooler temperatures often improve their texture, keeping them from turning woody or fiercely hot the way summer radishes can. Number 9. Leaf lettuce. Leaf lettuce can be direct sown or set out as transplants, and both work well in August. The real challenge isn't the cold end of the season, it's the start. Lettuce seed struggles to germinate in soil that's still hot from summer sun, so a light layer of shade cloth or sowing in the cooler part of the day helps it come up evenly. Depending on variety, expect harvest in 30 to 60 days. Loose leaf types are usually faster than head-forming ones, so check the packet before assuming you have enough time. Young lettuce tolerates a light frost fairly well, but a hard freeze will damage exposed leaves, so plan your final sowing with that limit in mind. Number 8. Spinach. Spinach has an odd relationship with heat. It needs to germinate in soil that's already cooling, ideally in the 50s, and germination drops off once soil climbs into the 80s. If your early August soil is still hot, water the bed the evening before sowing, or plant somewhere with afternoon shade for the first week or two. Most varieties reach harvest in 45 to 50 days from seed. Direct sowing is most common, since young spinach transplants are delicate. Once established, spinach tolerates light frost well, and in some regions it can continue much later with row cover protection.
Number 7 marks a shift. Up to now, most of these crops have forgiven a late start.
From here on, the calendar gets less patient. Planting date and days remaining before frost start to matter more with every crop that follows.
Number 7. Kale. Kale might be the best argument for planting anything in August. It shrugs off hard frost with little complaint. Established plants tolerate temperatures into the 20s, and the flavor genuinely improves afterward. As temperatures drop, kale draws on its stored starch and turns it into sugar as a cold weather defense, which is why kale picked after a frost tastes sweeter and less bitter than the same plant grown in summer heat.
Direct sow or transplant roughly 6 to 8 weeks before your first expected frost. Full-sized leaves generally take 50 to 75 days, though baby leaves can be ready in as little as 3 weeks. Pick from the bottom up, leaving the central growing point intact, and the plant keeps producing for months. Number 6. Turnips. Turnips do double duty, giving you a root harvest and edible greens from a single planting, which makes them efficient for a smaller August garden. Direct sow, since turnips don't transplant well, and plan on roughly 50 to 60 days to a usable root, though the greens are ready much sooner. The harvest queue matters more than the calendar. Pull most varieties around 2 to 3 inches across, or at the size recommended on the packet. Left well past that, roots are more likely to turn woody. Turnips tolerate light frost well, and that brief chill can even improve the flavor, although severe cold may damage exposed roots. That makes a slightly later planting date more forgiving than it first appears.
Number 5. Beets. Beets ask for a little patience at germination. Each beet seed you plant is really a small fused capsule holding 2 to 5 true seeds, so even a light scattering comes up crowded. Thin seedlings early, using the thinnings in salads, so the remaining roots have room to size up. Direct sow beets roughly 6 to 8 weeks before your first fall frost, and expect harvest in around 50 to 60 days, depending on variety. Young plants can be set back by an early cold snap, but mature roots handle frost well and often taste sweeter for it. Keep the soil consistently moist through germination. Beets are notorious for failing to sprout in soil that's allowed to dry and crust over. Number 4. Kohlrabi. Kohlrabi tends to get overlooked, which is a shame for an August garden, since it grows fast and takes a frost without much fuss. Direct sow roughly 7 to 9 weeks before your first expected frost, and most varieties reach harvestable size in 50 to 60 days.
Cool fall weather can improve the flavor while the stem is developing, but once it reaches about 2 to 3 inches across, or the size listed on the packet, harvest promptly rather than waiting for more size, since a stem left too long turns tough and woody instead of crisp. Steady moisture keeps growth uninterrupted along the way, which is what produces a tender, well-formed stem in the first place.
Number 3. Carrots. Carrots are where August planting gets genuinely tricky, and it has nothing to do with cold. It's germination. Carrot seed needs steady moisture to sprout, and hot drying surface soil in early August can cause spotty germination or none at all. Keep the seed bed consistently damp. A light mulch or breathable cover over the row can help hold moisture until sprouts break the surface. Remove it immediately once seedlings appear so they get light, and choose a fast-maturing variety to build in margin.
Direct sow carrots. They don't tolerate transplanting well. Depending on cultivar, expect 65 to 75 days to full size. Those smaller carrots can be pulled sooner.
Thin seedlings early. The payoff is real. Carrots that mature in cool fall weather are noticeably sweeter than a summer crop, and mature roots handle a fair amount of frost if mulched. Number 2. Broccoli transplants. Where you live changes the broccoli plan more than almost anything else on this list. In northern or short-season regions, transplants are generally the safer option since there's often not enough growing time left for direct-sown seed to catch up. In longer-season regions, direct seeding may still work if your local extension calendar supports it. Watch which days to maturity number you're reading. Many labels count from the transplant date rather than seed, and that figure is usually the faster of the two, typically 55 to 65 days. Broccoli is frost-hardy, so a first light frost doesn't automatically end the crop. The real deadline depends on your cultivar, your local calendar, and when damaging cold is likely to arrive, not on one national date. In some regions, fall broccoli is more reliable than spring broccoli because the heads mature as temperatures decline instead of rise. Harvest while buds stay tight and green. Once the main head is cut, most varieties keep producing side shoots for weeks.
Everything on this list has been building to this crop. Even a light frost can damage or kill bush bean plants. That single fact drives every decision that follows.
Direct sowing is preferred, into soil that's genuinely warm, since beans germinate poorly in cool soil. Fast bush varieties typically mature in roughly 45 to 65 days, depending on variety, but don't rely on that number alone. Growth slows as days shorten in late summer, so add the usual 10 to 14-day fall buffer, then add real extra room on top of it, because there's no recovering from frost the way there is with kale or carrots. Keep soil evenly moist through flowering, since dry spells cause blossoms to drop instead of setting pods. Pick regularly before seeds inside swell and harden. Frequent picking keeps the plant producing. And here's the condition that decides whether to plant them at all. If your frost date, minus maturity days, minus that full safety margin, lands before today, skip this one this year. There's always a spring crop instead.
August is not automatically the end of the garden. For a lot of these crops, it's closer to a second beginning.
The process is the same for everyone. Find your first expected frost date, read the variety's days to maturity, add the fall slowdown buffer, weigh how frost-tolerant the crop is, and plant what fits the window you have left. You don't need to redesign the whole garden today. Just find one open patch and start there.
Tell me in the comments which crop you're planting and when your first fall frost usually arrives.
If you want more practical, evidence-based gardening guidance, subscribe to Stephen's Garden Sense. Grow better, pick smarter, waste less.